The Baburnama, or Memoirs of Babur, is an autobiographical work by Zahir-ud-Din Muhammad Babur, the founder of the Mughal Empire in India. Written in Chagatai Turkic, this rich narrative provides insights into Babur's life, lineage, and the military conquests that defined the early 16th century in the Indian subcontinent. Among its themes, the Baburnama chronicles Babur's invasions of India, detailing strategies employed, battles fought, and the significant consequences of these actions, including the toll on human lives. Born in 1483 in present-day Uzbekistan, Babur descended from Timur on his father's side and Genghis Khan on his mother's side. Babur's father was Umar Sheikh Mirza, the ruler of the Fergana Valley, in present-day Uzbekistan. His mother, Kutluk Nigar Khanum, was a princess from the Mongol lineage. His early years were marked by territorial losses and family betrayals. After years of struggle, Babur turned his ambitions toward India, fueled by India's wealth and resources and the opportunity to establish a lasting empire. In the Baburnama, India is primarily referred to as Hindustan. The usage of Hindustan reflected both the geographical and cultural aspects of India as understood in the early 16th century. Other terms used include Hindustan, a variation of Hindustan used interchangeably in some contexts, and the land of the Hindus, highlighting the predominance of Hinduism in the region. Additionally, Babur mentioned specific regions and cities within India, such as Delhi, Lahore, and Agra. Babur's incursions into India began in the early 1520s. His primary motivation was to reclaim the lands of the former Delhi Sultanate and establish a foothold in northern India. The narrative in the Baburnama vividly accounts for these campaigns, emphasizing Babur's military acumen and the challenges he faced. Babur's initial campaign into India resulted in a swift and decisive victory, targeting the kingdom of Punjab under the control of the Lodi dynasty. The First Battle of Panipat occurred on April 20, 1526, where Babur's forces, although numerically inferior, utilized advanced military strategies, including effective artillery use, novel in Indian warfare at the time. This battle resulted in a crushing defeat for Ibrahim Lodi, paving the way for Babur to establish Mughal rule. Following his victory over Ibrahim Lodi, Babur moved to consolidate his power by defeating the Lodi dynasty's remnants. His forces engaged in skirmishes where Babur showcased his military prowess and understanding of local geography, using cannons to devastating effect against Lodi's war elephants and infantry. After his victory at Panipat, Babur's forces marched toward Delhi. The Baburnama highlights the brutality of these incursions as Babur sought to instill fear in his enemies. His army captured the city, committing acts that were both strategic and punitive. Babur recorded the sacking of Delhi, noting the looting of wealth and the killing of those who resisted. After establishing control over Delhi and Punjab, Babur continued his campaigns into the Deccan to secure his borders and assert dominance over rival kingdoms. His expeditions faced fierce resistance from local rulers, but he navigated challenges through strategic alliances and military engagements. The Baburnama details the human cost of Babur's conquests. The text chronicles various instances of violence, noting casualties during battles and raids. Babur noted that in Lahore, after his victory, he gained access to the royal treasury. He mentions acquiring 3 million tankas, the currency of the time, which he considered a significant fortune. The capture of Lahore contributed to the overall wealth of his empire. Babur's campaigns involved significant bloodshed, often ordering executions of those who resisted his rule. He recorded instances of entire villages punished for aiding enemy forces, aiming to discourage dissent. The Baburnama acknowledges that when cities were captured, soldiers would often seize women and children, leading to a practice of enslavement. Babur understood the psychology of warfare, using fear as a tool for compliance. His raids included military engagement and psychological warfare, sparing some opponents while executing others to create dread among rival leaders. The Baburnama contains several accounts of casualties during Babur's military campaigns. First Battle of Panipat, 1,526 estimated casualties for Ibrahim Lodi's forces, 20,000 to 30,000 soldiers were killed. Babur noted approximately 1,500 of his soldiers died. Battle of Kanway, 1,527 around 20,000 to 30,000 Rajput soldiers were killed. Babur's losses were about 1,000 troops. Capture of Delhi, 1,526 significant civilian casualties occurred, with estimates suggesting several thousand inhabitants killed during the sacking. Battles against Afghan rulers, in one encounter, 10,000 Afghan troops were reported killed. Raids and punishments. Babur ordered the execution of numerous individuals, with entire garrisons sometimes executed. The Baburnama reflects the brutal realities of warfare during Babur's time, documenting the violence integral to his conquests and the human cost of empire building. In his final days, Zahir-ud-Din Muhammad Babur reflected on his life and achievements while grappling with declining health due to chronic diarrhea and the pressures of ruling a newly established empire. Babur justified the killings of his enemies and massacres as necessary for consolidating his empire. He was buried in Bagh-e Babur, Babur's garden, in Kabul. While Babur may have justified his invasions as necessary actions for unifying a fragmented India and establishing a powerful empire, one must critically assess these actions from a humane perspective. Acts of violence and oppression, regardless of their historical context, highlight the profound human cost of conquest. Babur's actions, the killings, human enslavement, loot and plunder, resulted in immense suffering and should remind us of the moral imperatives that transcend historical narratives. Thank you for exploring the painful and heartbreaking narrative of the Baburnama.